Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds joint phone call with EU's Antonio Costa and Ursula von der Leyen. The leaders reaffirm commitment for early conclusion of India-EU FTA and exchange views on efforts to end the Ukraine conflict. India and Singapore unveil a roadmap to expand their comprehensive strategic partnership after talks between the two prime ministers in New Delhi. Decide to enhance cooperation in AI, quantum and other digital technologies. And foreign direct investment in India rises by 15% to $18.62 billion in April-June FY26, with the US becoming the top source of funding. Also, legendary Italian fashion icon Giorgio Armani dies at the age of 91. His company says he was surrounded by his loved ones during his last moments. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a joint telephone call with President of the European Council Antonio Costa and President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen. The leaders underlined the role of the India-EU strategic partnership in jointly addressing global issues. They also welcomed progress in bilateral relations in key sectors such as trade, technology, investment, defense, security and supply chain resilience, and reaffirmed the shared commitment for an early conclusion of the India-EU FTA negotiations and implementation of the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or the IMEC. The leaders also exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual interest, including the efforts to bring an end to the conflict in Ukraine. Prime Minister Modi reiterated India's consistent support for peaceful resolution of the conflict and early restoration of peace and stability. Well, it's a bond anchored in shared values, robust linkages and people-to-people contacts. Prime Minister Modi held delegation-level talks today with Singapore's Lawrence Wong at Hyderabad House in New Delhi. This is Prime Minister Wong's first visit to India in his capacity as Singapore's top political executive. The two sides held comprehensive discussions focusing on avenues for deepening multifaceted partnership. Singapore's PM's India's visit coincided with the 60th anniversary of India-Singapore diplomatic relations. It reaffirmed the continued commitment of both the countries to further strengthen the partnership. Following the formal talks, the two sides exchanged agreements in the fields of digital innovation, green transport, civil aviation, skill development and entrepreneurship as well as space technology. Addressing a joint press meet, Prime Minister Modi said, relations with Singapore go far beyond diplomacy. He informed that India and Singapore today have prepared a detailed roadmap for the future of the partnership.
आज हमने अपनी पार्टनरशिप के भविष्य के लिए एक डिटेल्ड रोड मैप तैयार किया है। हमारा सहयोग केवल पारंपरिक क्षेत्रों तक सीमित नहीं रहेगा। बदलते समय के अनुरूप एडवांस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, ग्रीन शिपिंग, स्किलिंग, सिविल न्यूक्लियर और अर्बन वाटर मैनेजमेंट जैसे क्षेत्र भी हमारे सहयोग के केंद्र बिंदु बनेंगे। हमने निर्णय लिया है कि आपसी व्यापार को गति देने के लिए द्विपक्षीय कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन एग्रीमेंट और आसियान के हमारे फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट का समयबद्ध तरीके से रिव्यू किया जाएगा।
Asserting that technology and innovation are the strong pillars of the partnership, Prime Minister Modi said that the two leaders have decided that cooperation in artificial intelligence, quantum and other digital technologies will be enhanced.
टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन हमारी साझेदारी के मजबूत स्तंभ है। हमने तय किया है कि एआई, क्वांटम और अन्य डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजीज में सहयोग को बढ़ाया जाएगा। आज स्पेस सेक्टर में हुए समझौते से अंतरिक्ष विज्ञान क्षेत्र सहयोग में एक नया अध्याय जुड़ रहा है। हमने निर्णय लिया है कि हमारे युवाओं को उनके टैलेंट को जोड़ने के लिए इस साल के अंत में इंडिया सिंगापुर हैकाथॉन का अगला राउंड किया जाएगा।
And Prime Minister Lawrence Wong of Singapore, during his first official visit to India, thanked Prime Minister Modi for the hospitality and celebrated 60 years of diplomatic ties between the two nations. He said that Singapore will continue to support India's skill development journey. Wong expressed optimism about collaborating with India to set up state-level skill centers to meet industry needs.
Singapore will continue to support India's skills development journey. We are honored to accept India's invitation to be a global partner for the National Center of Excellence in Chennai, which will focus on advanced manufacturing. We will also collaborate with India to set up state-level skills centers to meet industry needs in sectors like aviation, maintenance, repair and overhaul, and semiconductors.
Now, in a landmark development for India's maritime sector, Prime Minister Modi and Singapore PM Wong virtually inaugurated the Phase 2 development of BMCT, or the Bharat-Mumbai Container Terminal, developed in partnership with Singapore at Navi Mumbai Jawaharlal Nehru Port. Phase 2 will enhance the handling capacity of PSA Mumbai BMCT to 4.8 million TEUs, thereby increasing JNPA's overall capacity to 10 million TEUs, making it India's largest container port. This milestone marks a significant step towards realizing India's maritime vision, fostering growth and strengthening the nation's presence at the global stage.
The two Prime Ministers jointly virtually inaugurated the Phase 2 development of the Bharat-Mumbai Container Terminal BMCT at Jawaharlal Nehru Port, JNP, Maharashtra. This project, developed on a design, build, finance, operate and transfer DBFOT basis, is operated by PSA International of Singapore. It is noteworthy that completion of this phase has doubled PSA's terminal capacity to 4.8 million TEUs annually, establishing it as India's largest single container terminal and thus makes JNP the largest container port in the country.
Now, major decisions have been taken by the Indian government to provide relief to individuals, the common man and the aspirational middle class at the 56th GST Council meeting in New Delhi. The meeting was chaired by Union Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. A two-slab system of 5 and 18% GST rates has been approved. Rates on individual insurance policy, medicines and daily essentials have been slashed. Take a look.
The 56th GST Council meeting, chaired by Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Wednesday, gave its nod to a simplified two-slab system. 5% for essential or merit goods and 18% for standard items, with a steep 40% slab reserved for sin and luxury products. At a presser, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the main drivers of the economy, that is farmers and agriculture health, were the focus of the decision of the Council.
Common man items such as hair oil, toilet soap bars, shampoos, toothbrushes, toothpaste, bicycles, tableware, kitchenware and other household articles have all come to 5, whether they were in 18 or whether they were in 12. Similarly, reduction of GST from 5% to nil, 5 से 0 में जाने वाले आइटम्स इंडिकेट कर रहा हूँ. अल्ट्रा हाई टेम्परेचर मिल्क the UHT milk, chena or paneer, all the Indian breads will see nil rate. So roti kisi ke upar bhi, chapati or roti or paratha or whatever it is, they all come to nil. Reduction of GST from 12% or from 18% to 5%. इसमें फूड आइटम्स बहुत सारे हैं, नमकीन से भुजिया है, सॉसेस है, पास्ता है, इंस्टेंट नूडल्स है, चॉकलेट्स, कॉफ़ी, प्रिजर्व्ड मीट, कॉर्नफ्लेक्स, बटर, घी, ये सब 5% में आ रही है.
The finance minister also announced reduction of GST on 33 life-saving drugs and medicines from 12% to 0%.
Health-related items, 33 life-saving drugs and medicines, and they all come down from 12 to 0. From 5 to 0 and 3 life-saving drugs and medicines used for treatment of cancer, rare diseases, and other severe chronic diseases.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced that insurance services, which currently attract 18% GST, will now be fully exempt.
Exemption of GST on all individual life insurance policies, whether term life, ULIP, or endowment policies, and reinsurance thereof, to make insurance affordable for common man and increase the insurance coverage in the country. Exemption of GST on all individual health insurance policies, including family floater policies and policies for senior citizens, and reinsurance thereof to make insurance affordable for the common man and increase the insurance coverage in the country.
The GST Council also approved a special tax of 40% on sin goods such as cigarettes, pan masala, and gutka. However, they will not be implemented from September 22nd, but on a later date, which will be notified soon.
That special rate of 40% has also been proposed and it's cleared. That will apply only to pan masala, cigarettes, gutka, and other tobacco products such as chewing tobacco, products like zarda, unmanufactured tobacco, and BD. The changes in GST rates of all goods except for pan masala, gutka, cigarettes, chewing tobacco, products like zarda, unmanufactured tobacco, BD, will be implemented with effect from 22nd September 25.
The next generation GST reforms, as announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi from the ramparts of Red Fort on 15th August 2025, represent a strategic, principled, and citizen-centric evolution of a landmark tax framework which will enhance the quality of life of every last citizen. Bureau Report, DD India.
Let's now take a look at some stories that are making news around the world. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited the exhibition of the Far Eastern branch of the National Center Russia in Vladivostok on Thursday. Putin spoke with students from the Military Sports Training and Patriotic Education Center, Warrior. An all-female ice dance pair has secured rule change to compete in Finland. While ice dance is traditionally done by a man and a woman, these female skaters are vying for honors in domestic events until the spring arrives. The Nottingham-born Game of Thrones and Last of Us star Bella Ramsey came face-to-face with her finished wax figure at Madame Tussauds in London before it goes on display to the public. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. European leaders talk security guarantees with US President Donald Trump over the phone after convening in Paris for a summit with Volodymyr Zelensky. Chinese President Xi Jinping meets with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Beijing for in-depth talks on bilateral ties and issues of mutual concern. And Portugal mourns the loss of 16 lives as an intense probe is on into what caused Lisbon's landmark funicular railway car to crash into a building while going downhill.
We're always on the move, to the market, to work, to meet our friends. But how often do we stop and think about, is there a cleaner, affordable and eco-friendly way to travel?
Since switching to this e-rickshaw, I feel so much better. Everything is easier with this battery-powered rickshaw.
Our research is focused on a less mature technology, which will be less costly, so it'll be more economically viable.
If you plant new saplings, they'll take 10 years to grow. When we replant the trees, we are also retaining the oxygen the trees provide and preserving greenery.
My dream would be to have a play street / parklet, so we could have the parklet for some adults and some refreshments, and then everyone could come and kids could be playing.
Complex issues, hidden agendas.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, Prime Minister Modi has called the GST reforms as a double dose for India's growth. Interacting with national awardee teachers, the Prime Minister said that GST reforms will greatly benefit farmers, middle class and women among others.
21वीं सदी में आगे बढ़ते भारत में जीएसटी में भी नेक्स्ट जनरेशन रिफॉर्म की आवश्यकता थी और उसको किया गया है। मीडिया के कुछ साथी इसको जीएसटी 2.0 के रूप में कह रहे हैं, लेकिन असल में ये देश के लिए सपोर्ट और ग्रोथ की डबल डोज है। डबल डोज यानी एक तरफ देश के सामान्य परिवार की बचत और दूसरी तरफ देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को नई मजबूती। नए जीएसटी रिफॉर्म से देश के हर परिवार को बहुत बड़ा फायदा होगा। गरीब, न्यू मिडिल क्लास, किसान, महिलाएं, स्टूडेंट्स, नौजवान सभी को जीएसटी टैक्स कम करने से जबरदस्त फायदा होगा।
Now, news from international shores. Some 30 Western leaders are currently holding talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky over security guarantees for Kyiv in the event of a peace deal with Russia. The summit in Paris of the Coalition of the Willing brought together leaders from Europe, Australia, Japan and Canada, though only some attended in person, with many choosing to join through video link. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff also joined the meeting in person and had a meeting with Zelensky. Members of the coalition, which does not include the U.S., have talked for months at various levels to define their prospective military support for Ukraine. And following the summit, European leaders also held a video conference with U.S. President Donald Trump to evaluate progress on the proposed security guarantees for Ukraine. And separately, Zelensky had another talk with the Trump Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has said that Russia should have no say on whether international troops are deployed in Ukraine as part of post-war security guarantees. He was speaking at a conference in Prague before joining the Coalition of the Willing Summit on Thursday. Rutte said in Ukraine, as a sovereign nation, has the right to decide on its security arrangements without external interference and that Russia had nothing to do with it.
Ukraine is a sovereign nation. If Ukraine wants to have security guarantee forces in Ukraine to support a peace deal, it's up to them. Nobody else can decide about it. And I think we really have to stop making Putin too powerful.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Beijing on Thursday. The two leaders held in-depth talks covering bilateral ties and issues of mutual concern. The meeting comes after a military parade in Beijing on Wednesday, which Kim had attended along with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Kim arrived in Beijing on Tuesday, accompanied by his daughter Kim Joo-ae, his second reported trip abroad in 6 years and his first to China since 2019. In Nigeria's north-central Niger state, at least 60 people have died and dozens have been rescued after a boat carrying over 100 passengers capsized. The vessel departed from Tungansule in Malale district on Tuesday morning, heading to Duka for a condolence visit when it struck a submerged tree stump near Gosawa community in Borgu local government area. The Niger State Emergency Management Agency said emergency personnel and local divers were searching for the victims. The agency said the boat was overloaded and collided with a tree stump, causing it to capsize. Flags flew at half-mast in Lisbon on Thursday after at least 16 people were killed and 21 injured in a crash of a hillside funicular railway popular with tourists, while Portuguese authorities began investigating the cause of the accident, with the city's remaining 2 lines being shut for inspections. The line's 2 cars, each capable of carrying around 40 people, are attached to opposite ends of a haulage cable with traction provided by electric motors on the cars that counterbalance each other. As the cable apparently snapped, the car that was coming down the 265-meter slope lost its braking and derailed on a turn, crashing into a corner building. Thailand's ruling party, Pheu Thai, confirmed it would nominate its candidate ahead of a parliamentary vote for a new prime minister this week, a late move that could complicate a bid by the rival Bhum Chai Thai party. It's a pact with the opposition. Pheu Thai, which has been struggling to court support since suffering the loss of its prime minister, Paetongtarn Shinawatra, to a court ruling last week, said it would nominate Chaikasem Nitisiri, a veteran lawyer, to go head-to-head with Bhum Chai Thai leader Anutin Charnavirakulla. This is for the premiership. Pheu Thai announced it has entered its request to dissolve parliament just moments after the People's Party backed their rival. Italian fashion designer and icon really, Giorgio Armani, has died. That's what his company said on Thursday. Armani, who was 91, was synonymous with modern Italian style and elegance. Widely regarded as the architect of modern Italian style, Armani built a fashion empire that spanned decades and redefined luxury with his signature unstructured tailoring and meticulous attention to detail. Now let's get you some sporting updates. We'll start with golf. Indian cricket legend, in fact, Yuvraj Singh, officially launched the inaugural Indian Golf Premier League Tour in New Delhi today. The IGPL will be hosting India's first ever professional tour to feature both men and women playing on the same platform. Co-founded by cricketer Yuvraj Singh along with leading names from the golfing circuit, the league aims to blend the thrill of team competition with the elegance of golf. The integrated format not only redefines how golf is played in India, but also reflects their commitment to promote inclusive excellence and athlete empowerment. Veteran golfers Shiv Kapoor, SSP Chaurasia, G. Milkha Singh, among others, are the iconic players announced for the league. With Yuvraj Singh championing the cause, the league also hopes to replicate the success of cricket's franchise leagues.
Really excited to be part of IGPL because I feel that, golf needs to grow in our country. I think it should be part of our culture. When I was playing cricket, I always used to think that, I could have played more matches, I could have done better. But I think When I started playing golf, I realized that probably that was my biggest regret, not starting golf at a young age.
Yeah.
That's all we have for the moment in this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts for the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code and download the app. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Up next is my colleague Mark with the Economic Brief. Stay tuned.